Hello, everyone, and good evening. Thank you for being here with me again one more time for a cooking class sponsored by Healthy Mothers, Healthy Babies and the Florida Health Department for the Moms for Wellness program. This program is for at-risk moms to be to help them cook more at home, eat better, have a healthy pregnancy, and avoiding and preventing diabetes, hypertension, and all those nasty complications that you can have when you're pregnant. But this class is for everybody. So if you're not pregnant, don't leave. If you're watching this class in YouTube, it is a cooking class that anybody can follow. And my name is Chef Dulce Jimenez. I am a wellness coach and a professional chef, a cooking instructor, and I love, love, love to teach people how to cook and how to prepare their home to have meals that are healthy, they're delicious, and that you can do it easily with meal planning techniques that I teach in all my classes. So today I'm going to have a cool menu that you can make during the holidays. I know uh, it's something that we make in my country. I am from Dominican Republic, I'm Caribbean, and is also a dish that I have been requested. I usually don't make it in class because it takes a little bit longer, but today I'm going to have some techniques to make it faster. And we're talking about beef stew. We meet, at least my husband eat me once or twice a month. I don't eat it, but I love the sauce. And I usually make the same ingredients and then I put mushrooms or other vegetables and then I eat like a stew, vegetable stew instead of eating it with the meat. So you can do that as well if you don't eat meat. But if you eat meat, this class, you're gonna love it. Also, the other thing I'm going to make is a puree of different root vegetables. I'm going to make fried plantains, which is tostones or patacon. It's super cool to have something crispy when you're making stew, beef stew and puree, because you want to have that contrast of textures in your plate. We're also going to have some pickled onions, little onions that I love, red onions, and I'm going to teach you a technique to peel them faster and how to pickle them as well. Which pickle is something that you put in vinegar and salt, and so it's something that is also give the crunchiness. So when you build in your plate, you have the puree in the bottom, the stew on top of the puree. Then you have those pickled onions and some tostones, which are fried plantain. And you have a combination of flavors and balances. And the chimichurri sauce goes on top of the tostones and goes on top of the meat. And you have an amazing, amazing dish. And it's made with different components, which we're going to start right away. So I'm going to start with the beef. I'm going to prepare the beef. I already have it cut. I might have to cut it a little bit smaller, but let me bring the beef. Where's the beef? So I'm using beef chuck. This is a good beef for stew because it has some fat in it and it will hold the long cooking process of the stew. So when you're stewing, it's called braising. Braising is when you see braised beef, is the same as stewing. So that's what it means, braising. So because we're in a cooking class, I will cut it in 3 pieces. But when you're making it at home, you should leave this cook for an hour and a half, and you can leave it in these big pieces. But for the class, I'm going to cut it in smaller pieces. Okay, so we can make it. You can also use a pressure cooker, but I don't like pressure cooking. I don't like the taste of the food. So I'm going to clean it. I'm going to get any, not fat because I want the fat in it, but if it has that like gray film, that makes the beef tough. So I'm going to cut that part of the beef. And I'm going to be honest, I don't work with beef a lot. I'm not a fan. I don't need red meat, but my family like it, so I cook it for them. And I learned how to cook meat. So, but it's not my favorite. I love to do this with vegetables, and it's quite amazing. So I'm gonna cut the beef really, really tiny because if not, I'm gonna have to wait too long for this to be cooked. So I'm making little pieces. And it should be very dry. Some people wash it with bitter orange, which is great. I recommend doing that if you want. My grandmother used to clean it with bitter orange, naranja agria. So I'm cutting those tough part of the beef, and then I'm cutting it in small pieces. Those tendons, it's like tendons. Those make the beef tough. And it's okay if you're going to leave it cooking for an hour and a half. But when we just have 45 minutes, so you need to use your imagination to make it happen, right? Okay, so I'm going to clean all this beef and I'm going to dry it very, very well. Okay, and I will show you when it's done. So I already cut all the beef chop and little pieces, and I dry it very well. I clean it. You can also clean it with bitter orange or with orange juice. So now I'm going to season it well with pepper, salt. I have some cumin, coriander. These are all freshly ground. I have the seeds, then I ground them myself. That's why you see has this these bottles, the labels, some of them. This is garlic granulated garlic. Some dry oregano, which I'm gonna crush in my hands. When you're using dry herbs, you always crush it to activate the oils. Okay. Now I'm gonna put a little bit of avocado oil, a little bit, and a little bit of sofrito. This is a puree of garlic and onion and peppers and olives. Ooh, smells so delicious. So I'm gonna season the meat, and you can do this the day before. You don't have to do this on the same day you're doing your stew because you're wasting time. I wanted to do it in front of you so you see, right? But I usually always do it the day before. And I already have my meat seasoned and it's more flavorful. You're saving time and is even a little bit more tender because you leave it with the salt day before. Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah, some people add lemongrass also, but no, it's more when I do Indian, I will put, or Thai, I will put lemongrass, but not. Dominicans, we put recaito, which is cilantro, scallions, cubanella pepper, and oh, smells so good. Cumin, coriander, lots of garlic. You can put a habanero. You can mix all that in a blender and then have that sofrito. Okay, so my meat is ready. Ah. So when you're making stew, we're going to sear the meat. So we're going to give a little bit of color, not a lot, and then we're going to add all the aromatics. So the aromatics are, I have carrots, celery, onions, yellow onions. I have cubanela peppers. I have some jalapeno because I had some and I want to use it. Some red pepper, and then herbs. We're gonna add a bunch of herbs. I have fresh oregano, basil. I have some fresh cilantro here that we're gonna add as well. And of course, we're gonna add a lot of garlic. Okay, a lot of garlic here. I buy my garlic already peeled. I buy them organic and peeled. And what I do is I wash them with vinegar and water. Then I, check one at a time, and then I process it in a food processor, and I keep that puree in my refrigerator. So I already used the puree, so I'm gonna put whole cloves of garlic in this one. So I'm going to start. I don't think you can see. Okay. So every time you're making a stew, the same ingredients are kind of the same thing, the vegetables, some kind of acid, and some kind of herbs, spices, aromatics, and some wine or some beer or vinegar, lemon juice, orange juice. So something as acidic with tomato paste. So we're going to put all those ingredients now, and I'm going to put it to cook for 40 minutes. Well, my grandmother used to put some sugar and allow the sugar to caramelize, and then she will give color to her meats and chicken and beef or whatever she was making. So I have a pan that you can also put in the oven. You can cook this stew in the oven, or you can keep it in the stove. I'm going to cook it in the stove today, and I'm going to let this in medium high heat. I want to give some color, and then I'm going to take it out and then cook all the vegetables and the aromatics in there, put all the liquids, and I'm going to put the beef back. So then you just get spatula. When giving some color or searing, which is called sear is to give some color to whatever you're cooking. You don't want to crowd the pan. You don't want to put all of them at the same time. So I'm going to put them a little bit separated. Let me see if you can see what I'm making here. I'm going to open my camera for the food. Okay. I don't know if you can see it because it's blurry. I'm trying to put my phone and show you, but I can see here. And I'm going to what is called deglazing it. Deglazing is when you take the beef or whatever you're making it, and you want to take it, so it's not, how do you call this in Spanish? Deglazing it is take all that yumminess that forms in the bottom, and you add a hot liquid, and all that will come out. So I said you should not crowd the pan, but because we are in a time crunch, I'm gonna put them all together and let them get happy. All of it. Okay. Now I'm gonna get my awesome and I'm gonna add the garlic. So I cut the garlic in half and I see if it has a sprout. If it has a sprout, I take it out. This one don't have sprout in them. So that if you leave a big sprout in the middle of your garlic, it gives you indigestion. Okay, this big piece in here, this is a sprout. So I take that out. And you will not feel like, sometimes you go to an Italian restaurant and you get out, you feel so, when you finish, you feel so bloated. So a lot of garlic. Yeah, if they have a big sprout like that, I'll pick it out. I know it's time consuming, but it's good. And I put about almost an entire head of garlic. I love garlic. And I know beef and garlic are best friends. So because I didn't feel the garlic, I like to also check them. Okay. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt in the garlic. A little bit or a lot. And I'm going to put some fresh oregano. It's that beautiful fresh oregano that I got today from the market. Some cilantro as well. And I'm gonna make this paste. Okay. This is a pilon. We call this pilon. It's a mortar. This looks like, I think this was my grandmother. It's a good exercise. Oh, wow. Ah, the smell is amazing. You don't have energy to do this, put your husband. Or you can do it in a food processor, but I really like to put my energy in my food. So I'm putting all this in this too. All my love and my effort, and that counts, guys. Oh, okay. This is so awesome. Getting brown. Look, getting brown. And you can smell all those flavors. Oh, that is so gorgeous. I'm gonna put it back. You can see the brown. They flavorful. Oh, they smell amazing. And in that fun, the fun is what is left behind in the pan. All that is the flavor of the beef and the flavor of the seasoning. And now in there, I'm going to put all the vegetables. Oh, beautiful. Right? I have beef stock. I'm gonna put just a little bit so I get all that thing, all that fun and flavor from the bottom. Mm. Wow, this is so amazing. Anything you make with all these vegetables and all these flavors is going to be amazing. Okay, so you this in high heat. Now I'm going to use almost all of it. Oh, I can eat this and with bread and butter. I love it. This is garlic and cilantro and fresh oregano, a little bit of salt. So I'm gonna leave this. This that is left in here, I'm gonna use it for my chimichurri. Now we're gonna put in the plantains. Okay. So you need to cook it a little bit before you add all the liquids and all the meat back. You want this to be sweat, that we call sweat, like when I don't know what is it called sweat, but it's like it's soft and a little bit tender. It doesn't have to be because remember this is going to be cooking for a while. But you want all the vegetables to get all the flavors as well. And I like a little spicy. I like a lot of pepper in my stew. I'm gonna hold the salt because I already salted the beef. I already put a little bit of salt in the garlic. So I am not going to put more salt until I taste it and I know if you need it or not. Okay. So I have a few other ingredients that I'm going to be adding. I'm going to wait for a minute here. So now I'm going to add all the liquid. This is soy sauce, tomato sauce, you can add wine if you want, very little, and it will evaporate. I'm going to put a little bit more of the sofrito. I'm going to put a little bit of the orange peel. This is optional. Keep more flavor. And I'm going to put the orange juice. Make sure there's no seeds. Okay. Oh my God, the smells are amazing. This orange has not a lot of juice. So this look at this. delicious. And smells amazing. Okay, now I'm gonna put all the beef back with all the juices. Okay, now I'm going to add the beef stock, and you want to cover the beef with the stock, not like the whole tray. So I will see it. That's why I never just put all of it. I will look that will cover the beef, but it's not like a soup. I'm not making a soup. I want to make sure the beef is covered. Okay. So you can tell, you can see some pieces of the beef on top still. And I want to let it boil. Once it's boiling, I'm going to cover it very well with aluminum foil. And I'm going to, you can put it in the oven or you can put it in simmering for about 40 to 40 minutes or until the meat is super tender. If you leave the chunk bigger, then it's going to take you an hour and a half. This I'm thinking is going to take us maybe half an hour because the beef pieces were very small. I'm going to taste it. Oh, wow. Love it. I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. And soy sauce. So I usually don't put this at the beginning, the cilantro, but my husband does not like cilantro raw at all. So I'm going to put it now and let the cilantro cook very well. So I'm going to put some cilantro on top. If it's just for me, I would put it at the end and then let it just cook for the last 5 minutes. But if I put it now, the cilantro will permeate the sauce, but it will not be so pungent. You can also have some little bit of oregano. Okay. Now, cover, and I'm gonna put it in my back stove so I can do other things here with you. So you want to cover very tightly. You don't want that steam to come out. That's why I put aluminum foil. And then I put the lid on top. Okay, let's see. Yep, there we go. Burn myself. Okay, I'm gonna put it in the back. Okay. So I'm making a puree, and this has potatoes and parsnip. Parsnip is a family of the carrot. It's like a big carrot, it's white, and it has a sweeter, gingery flavor, So I like to combine potatoes, parsnip, and butternut squash that I have in the refrigerator. Why not use my root vegetables to make a puree? So I have potatoes and the parsnip and the butternut squash, and I'm gonna make this unique puree that is gonna be on the bottom of my beef stew. And this is a good way to use your vegetables so they don't, spoil. So this is parsnip. You peel it as a carrot, you cut in little pieces, and you put it with your potatoes. And I'm putting, what I do is I start the potatoes first, so they get a head start, and then I put the butternut squash and the parsnip. And this is going to boil until tender. While the beef is cooking, the potatoes are also cooking at the same time. And now we're going to do the plantains and the other dishes to accompany this fabulous meal. So another component of this dish are the pickled red pearl onions. I love these little onions. You can put them in a jar, pickled, and you can, eat it with everything. And they're even delicious with just cheese and crackers. And they're a little bit tough to peel. If you have a whole bag, I already did a bunch of them. I just want to do a few. You see, they're already peeled here. I'm going to teach you a technique that I use to peel them. So the way you do is you put just boiling water, simple boiling water, and I'm going to put this for a minute in the boiling water, and then I'm going to put it in cold water. So there are people asking me, how do you avoid the beef to become harder? When you're stewing and you put the acid and the liquid and the seasonings and you let it cook, it will never become harder. The problem is that people don't allow the beef to cook enough. And when you're making like steaks and things that you're not cooking enough, it's just, meat that is not for stewing. When you cook that steak, you have to let it rest and cut it in the bias. So it has the every piece of beef or the steak has like little lines. So if you cut the steak with the lines, your beef is going to be tough. But you have to cut it again against that grain, against that line. And that way, when you eat it, it will stretch and it will not be tough. So it's a matter of the type of beef or meat you're using, the amount of cooking, also the liquids and the acid that you put in, because the salt and the acid will tenderize the beef and will soften it. And so, yeah, it's a matter of that in reality. So I'm boiling the water to peel my red pearl onions. I love this one. They come in white or like yellow. So there's several colors, varieties of them. I'm gonna just dump it for a minute. Simple. It's just to soften the skin, tenderize them. They're so cool. I love them. You can put it in the stew, but in this case, I want them to be on top or around the stew, and I'm going to use it as another component of my stew because you don't want to have just a puree and then soft meat on top. You don't want that. That's not appetizing. That is not something that will entice all your senses. Like when you're eating, you want to see color, you want to taste crunchiness, you want the smooth, the crunch, and the different flavors. So that what makes a meal amazing. Okay, so it's about a minute. I can see they're peeling already. Okay, I don't want them cooked, but okay. I'm gonna dump them in there. And when you cut one end, this great. This. I'm gonna cut one end. And you can see how it comes out. Comes out very easy. That's it. Super easy. If they're too big, I like to cut them in half. You just have to cut the end where it has the little hairy end. You can also, cut one of the sides so it's easier. And then you peel. But I don't like to not use this. I like this is onion. So I just take the peel. I don't waste all that onion. So, see how simple? When you have a bag, you want to do that. Four is easy. I can peel four in a flash, but when you have a whole bag of this little per onions, you do want to do the step of the boiling water. Okay. So I have my pearl onions in here. I'm going to make a quick pickle. Okay, so how do you pickle vegetables? Very simple. You have about a cup of water and about half a cup of white vinegar. Same amount of sugar. I have half a tablespoon of sugar and half a tablespoon of salt. And you can put some seeds. I love coriander seeds. Okay. You can put a few cloves of garlic. There's my garlic. Some flavor. These are optional things that you can do to a pickle. But basically, a pickle is salt, sugar, vinegar, water. That's what is basically a pickle. Okay. So I'm going to just smash 3 cloves of garlic. That's to give some flavor to my pickle liquid. Smash the garlic with my handy dandy Japanese knife. You can leave it almost whole. You can add laurel leaves. But this is basically, I am dissolving the salt and the sugar and get a little bit of flavor. It's salty, sweet, and vinegary. That's what you want. Okay. So now I'm going to, these are kind of big, so I'm going to cut some of them in half. Yeah, the ones that are bigger, and then I'm gonna put them in there. Uh-oh. They're slippery. Cut them in half. If they're too big, I cut it even more. Because remember, you're gonna eat that on top of your stew. That's gonna be like one of the crunchy part of the stew. You can take out the seed if you don't like to encounter those seeds in there. I'm thinking about if I cut them too much, then you will be biting the seed. So I'm gonna take the coriander seed. I changed my mind because you don't want to be biting in those seeds. Because this is a quick pickle. If I'm putting it in the refrigerator, I don't mind because they start softening and you can eat them. But this is like, if you're gonna make this for the meal for the same day, don't put too many because you don't want to be biting in them. When I do a big jar of onions, I put all my seeds like that and no problem. Okay. So I'm cutting them in half or in quarters because some of them are quite big. They're so delicious when you pickle them. They're actually are better the day after you pickle them. So this is something that you can make even 3 days, 4 days in advance if you're gonna pickle onions. And you can put them in a jar and always have them in your fridge. You can put it on top of your salads, on top of your stews, on top of anything that you want to keep that crunchy. You can even use it in your sandwiches. Okay. I turned the stove off. I don't want to boil them. So I want them in the hot liquid, but I don't want them to continue boil. I don't want a onion puree. I want them just bite tender or al dente. That you feel the like the bite when you're biting them. Okay. You can also pickle other vegetables. You can pickle carrots, you can pickle cucumbers, you can pickle cauliflower is very good. Pickle cauliflower and have them in a jar and eat them with anything you want. I just love that combination of salty and vinegary and crunchy on top of on my foods. And almost done. They're huge. There's some that are even smaller. I think the pearl one, the white ones are less smaller and they're more tender. These are red. I love the red because they have more flavor. Okay, so I have them in my liquid. Okay, they're pickling right there. Okay, put them in a jar. And this is done. Just have to stay outside until they're completely cool off, and then you can put it in the refrigerator. I'm going to put my pickled onions in a bottle. I'm gonna put the onions first. and then the liquid. They're still warm, it's fine. I'm not gonna close the bottle. Perfect. So you want the liquid to cover your onions. See. Mmm, amazing. They're still crunchy and they have that sweet and acid flavor. And the oniony flavor is staying, it's not as pungent. Okay. So let's set it aside and let's make our tostones. So this is green plantain. I love green plantains. We make them boil like a puree, like a potato puree, and also we make them fried. We make them in mofongo. We make them in so many ways. We put them in soups, you name it. But I love patacon or tostones. It's fried plantain, green plantain. The Cuban um, usually use more ripe plantain. There are sweeter, and we too, but we cook it longer with sometimes with sugar and cinnamon. So plantain is a staple of the Caribbean cuisine, and Dominicans, Cuban, Puerto Rican, Haitian, I bet Jamaica and all of you guys that are most of my audience in this class is from the Caribbean. So you know how to use your plantain. Right? But let's go to make patacon. Actually, I just learned that a friend of mine in Ecuador, they have patacon every morning for breakfast. It's like, oh my God, I thought it was us, Dominicans, that love plantain. So each person has his way to cut it. I find that with a table knife is easier. So I cut a slit in the plantain and then go all the way around it. I'm not an expert by any chance. Like sometimes I take half of the plantain out. So I know my grandmother and she had ladies working for her, cooks and people that will help her in the kitchen. They will make this plantain like amazing. They will take the uh, the skin of the plantain like in one time, but I'm not an expert because I don't make that much plantain. I wish I do more. I make it more often. My husband said that he's more Dominican than me, and he's from Colombia. Because he likes plantain, he likes fried eggs and the fried white cheese, the salchichon, which is the beef like sausage. So he likes all those things, which I don't eat. So it's coming out. But the tostones are double fried. There's one thing that if you don't double fry your tostones, those are not tostones. So tostones, you fry them once, then you smash them, and then you fry them again. That's a real good tostone. Actually, when we go to Latin restaurants, we ask them if they double fry them because if they don't double fry them, I will not order them. So now you're gonna cut them in like a 1 inch rounds. Try to make all your cuts the same way because if not, um, they will not cook at the same time. You see, these are kind of the same size. This is a little bit bigger. I rather make them smaller than bigger. Some people like big patacones and they take almost half of the plantain and then just cut two half and then I don't like it like that. I like smaller ones and then you get more. Yep. So I have about a quarter cup of oil. They're not deep fried, they are shallow fry. So deep fry is when you put a lot of oil in a big container and then you dunk it and they go deep in the container. So this is shallow fry. It's different than saute because it's still frying, but the oil is shallow, it's not deep. So when I see that they're already bubbling, then I'm gonna start putting them. I don't want to give them color in the first fry. I just want them to cook a little bit. And I try not to put them a lot because I want to be able to take them fast. So I do it in stages. So I will put maybe half and then I leave the other half. Okay. Okay, so I was asked what oil I use and I didn't mention. So these are burning. What's going on? This stove is really, it's really potent. In my regular stove, they take longer. Okay, I'm gonna take them out. They're burning. And I was telling you, don't give any color. Now they're burned. Well, they're not burned, but they're not supposed to get so much color. So you're just cooking it a little bit and then take them out. Wow, that I forget that this stove is super, super potent. So I'm using a high heat oil, which is avocado oil, but I love to make them with coconut oil. Actually, it's my favorite, but I didn't have coconut oil today. So as soon as you put it, actually, I have to turn off the stove. You let it for a minute or two, and then you turn them, and then you keep turning them. So you cook them through a little bit, but they're not gonna get colored. The last fry, and then you give them some colors. Okay. So Steve, just give them some, cook them through a little bit. Very high heat. This doesn't go down. Look, doesn't go down. Okay, right. Yeah, so not olive oil. I tried not to use canola oil because canola is GMO. So I tried to use avocado, coconut, or yeah, that's it. Basically, I used coconut or avocado oil. If you buy, grapeseed oil, it's a little bit expensive, but it's really good. Grapeseed. It's made from the grapes, the seed of the grapes. But all oils are processed, so you should be avoiding. This is once in a while, I try not to do this every week, actually, maybe once or twice a month. I don't like to fry a lot, but once in a while it's okay. Everything in moderation is okay, even moderation. So you can use paper towel to put them on top of paper towel. I don't use a lot of paper towel, so I don't have any more. I use them all for the meat. And I'm taking this. Turn this off. This out of here so I don't burn myself. Okay. Now, if you look at this side of the camera, we'll take this away from here. This is a tostonera. This is where we do the tostones. You can, you know, smash them um, with a small plate, with the with a skillet, with whatever. But I love this tostonera because when you do it, you put a little bit of the oil in both sides, and then you get your plantains. Here, I'm gonna get the plantain. I'm gonna put it in my tostonera. And I'm gonna squeeze them. See, these are perfect tostones. I'm gonna split them all at the same time. And then I'm gonna cook them all at the same time. Some people start putting them in the, but I like to pay attention to them because they can burn pretty easy. And even here in this super duper gas stove that I have for the classes, I could probably start putting them in my stove, but here, if I put them in there, they will burn. So you smash them, they're awesome. If they start getting stuck in the thing, in the tostonera, you put a little bit more of the oil. And I love tostones. I can eat 3, 4 plantains if I make them in tostones. But I love them boiled as well. Boiled plantain, green plantain, and then mashed like a puree. It's amazing as well. Okay. Okay, this one, oh my God. This one disintegrated. Okay. So now I'm gonna put a little bit, oh, I missed one. Okay. And now I'm gonna put a little bit of salt. And I'm gonna double fry it. Now you put them in a little bit higher heat, but not in here because this is crazy. And then when you take them out, you put them in paper towel or in an absorbent kind of paper or towel or something. So they absorb a little bit of the fat, but the oil. But this is just to finish cooking them and give them some color. I'm gonna try. Yeah. So again, I try not to put too much because if I see them, they're burning, and I have time to take 3 or 4. But if I put all of them, then they're gonna burn. Gonna get a plate to put them. You can find these tostoneras in a Latin market like Sedanos or Presidente here in South Florida. They sell the tostoneras. Also, you can find them online. This is Imusa, Inusa, Imusa, tostonera. Amazon, guys. Amazon has everything. So I bet if you put right now in your phone tostonera in Amazon, you will get several of them. So they are very toasty and I'm getting them out. As soon as you get them out, you put some salt again. I know I salt them, but they need the salt when they're coming out of the fryer, of the skillet. Oh, that's the timer for the puree and the beef. I put a little bit of salt and I'm going to put the rest lower here because this is crazy. This burns everything. Okay. Okay. They're cooked. Taking them out. They just have to have some color in them. You don't want them white. Should have a little bit of color the second time. Okay. Awesome. Getting some color. How cool. I love them. Oh, pepper in them. Optional. If you want to put a little bit of pepper, I like it with pepper. Oh my God, I can't wait. I'm hungry. Not supposed to eat at this time, but I don't think I'm gonna let them go. It's it's hot. It's the holidays, so okay. So these are good. So now you know how to make tostones. Awesome. Awesome. So I just checked on the beef stew and I want you to see this. Look how amazing. You can still see the pieces of the carrot and some of the red peppers. But I'm going to show you with a fork. Look, the beef is tender. Mm, 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 mm. That's what I'm talking about. Wow, so delicious. And the sauce is thick. I don't have to do anything. You know, sometimes I want a little bit more sauce, but it's fine. I can put a little bit more of the stock when I reheat it tomorrow. And look, I don't like meat, but this is really good. I like it, but it's not that I don't need it. I don't like to eat it often. So, but this is really good. I'm sorry. I don't want you guys to be hungry, but wow. I can taste the garlic. Mm. I can taste the all the spices. It's a little bit spicy, not too much. What I like is I didn't season the meat the day before and still so flavorful. So it has been for almost an hour. Yeah. So if I would have left, look, all the veggies. Mmm. Wow, sorry. So good. Look, with a little tostone. This is what the goose is tostone. You put the sauce in there. I'm gonna do something that I never do, but I want you to know that this is so delicious. Look, you put the sauce in the tostone. Mm, mm. You have to make this. You have to make this. This is so good. Wow. Fantastic. My husband is gonna love it. Okay, now let's finish. We're gonna finish the puree and we're gonna plate before I start eating more. So I'm going to finish the puree, and the puree is already softened. Here I have the potato, the parsnip, and the butternut squash. And what I do is I strain the water, but I keep it in the same pot, and I keep the heat very low or turned off completely. If I'm in the electric skillet in my electric stove, I turn it off completely, but just with the heat. So that water evaporates and I don't get a watery puree. You don't want a mushy watery puree. Usually I keep the vegetables larger so they don't get mushy. If you cut the potatoes too small, they will get very mushy and watery. But because we were in the class, so I have to cut it smaller so it takes less time. So very simple. I'm going to put a little bit of yogurt. I'm going to put yogurt, or you can put sour cream. You can put olive oil, you can put butter, you can put sour cream, but I try not to put more oil because we're eating beef. So I don't want to, I want to leave it with no oils. So I want a puree that is going to be smooth, but it will not have so much calories and also so much fat in it. So I'm going to put some pepper. This is very simple. You just want the flavors of the vegetables. You don't need to put anything. Okay. And if when you're going to reheat the puree, what you just have to do is warm a little bit of milk, and then you put the puree very low heat with the milk, and then you um, mix it with the milk so it gets hot and warm, and then you can eat it the next day. Okay, so here's my puree. You can see it has like little dots of butternut squash, and it has the flavor of the parsnip, which is a little bit sweet. I'm gonna taste the puree. Mm, that's it. You don't need anything because this is going to be a bland partner or bland. It's not bland because it has salt and pepper, and you can taste the sweetness of the parsnip and the sweetness of the butternut squash and the potatoes. You can taste all that, and the yogurt give a little bit of tanginess and acidity, but it's going to balance the richness of the beef. which that's what we want. Okay. Here is the beef stew, the root vegetables puree. You know, the light doesn't, you see it, but it's very simple puree. And the fried plantains with the chimichurri. So I don't have time to make the chimichurri in the class, but I had chimichurri that I already made. And chimichurri is very simple. I chop the cilantro and the fresh oregano that we had with the smashed garlic that you saw me make. And I added olive oil, red wine vinegar, and that's how I make my like chimichurri sauce. There's so many ways to make chimichurri sauce. Each chef has their own recipe for this, but this I learned from an Argentinian chef. He boiled 1 cup of water with 1 teaspoon of sugar and 1 teaspoon of salt just to dissolve it. And then he take it out of the stove. That's the same way I do it. Then I add the olive oil and the red wine vinegar. I add my crushed garlic with oregano. He didn't add cilantro, but I am Caribbean, and cilantro is my herb that I love and is the one that flavor all my meals. So I always put cilantro in my meals. And unless I'm making something, of course, that doesn't go with cilantro, but if it's my version, then it's cilantro goes. So, and it's vinegary, so it gives the contrast. Every perfect dish is a contrast of flavor. So here I have my puree that I'm going to serve with a little bit of the beef. Look how soft this beef is. And I'm going to put a little bit of the sauce around. I'm going to serve it with a few tostones. And I'm going to get a little bit of the chimichurri sauce, because that gives that vinegary that will cut the fat of the beef. And also I will put my pickled onions. I'm going to put a few pickled onions on top. Ding, ding. I just got a bell. What is the bell from? Ding. Can you hear that? So let's put the pickled onions here in the plate. But look at how cool when you serve this in your table. This is how you're going to serve it. Right. Put a little bit of each thing. The plate. Gosh, this is like too much space. Okay. You see your beef, your puree, your plantains, your onions, and this is the final plate. You see, you have your plantains, the puree. This you have to try. Please let me know if you make it, and I'll send you. I'm gonna try to, sometimes I can post the recipes on YouTube because they are too long. But if you send me an email requesting me the recipe, I will send it to you. I probably will put the beef stew recipe with the YouTube video of the class. So I hope you try it. It's really delicious. This is a lovely meal for you know, this holiday season. I know Christmas already passed, but you can make this for New Year's, and you can make it with rice. I will not recommend you make it with puree for New Year's if you have a lot of people and you're gonna want to have a buffet. This is great for buffet. And you can do just rice and peas or rice and gandules. So yeah. So thank you so much for being with me tonight. I know the class is a little bit longer, but this is what I like to do. I want to teach you to cook. And when you come to my classes and you ask questions and we have a conversation about technique and the products that I use. So somebody here in the class already found the tostonera, and it's something that is not expensive. It's very easy to use, and you will make perfect tostones. And I'm going to keep digging with this because this is so great. So see you in the next class. If you're watching this class in YouTube, please, please give me a like, subscribe, share it with your friends and family. So more people get to enjoy these classes. So I'm gonna I'm gonna put a little bit of the onion on top. Oh my God, this is gonna be a big chunk of food in my mouth, but let's put the onion in there. You see that? That's a perfect bite. This can be an appetizer. Mm. This is delicious. Hope to see you next time, guys. Good night. That's the timer. It's time to go.